Hey there everyone, this is Carrie with Any Day Blessings, and on this channel I have homeschool videos for you, flip-throughs, curriculum updates, day in the life, lessons, so you can see these materials used real time. I also put some frugal living tips from time to time and other just for fun type vlogs, but mostly it's all about homeschool here. So if that interests you, please consider subscribing, and I'd love to see you stick around and share in the comments your tips and tricks, because I'm learning too. This is going on our 6th year this fall, homeschooling, but I am still learning, and I love to learn from other homeschool moms. So welcome if you're just finding me here, and if you like this video and this type of content, please go ahead and hit that like button so I know what kinds of things you all like to see here. In today's video, I'm just going to run over some suggestions I have, or comparisons. I really don't know what to call them, but I've been thinking about this a lot recently because I'm hearing the term biblical worldview kind of thrown around. It's almost become a buzzword of sorts in the homeschool community, kind of like Charlotte Mason method and Charlotte Mason inspired. It kind of was just used. It's kind of being used so much, I really don't know what people mean when they use the term biblical worldview. So I've jotted down a couple thoughts because I want to be helpful and help you find the types of resources that you're looking for. And so I kind of broke it up into 3 different categories that I have found that people mean when they talk about resources written from a biblical worldview. My thoughts on this, I'll kind of save to the end, but I kind of fall in the last category I'm going to share with you, what I'm looking for when I look for biblical worldview material. But I do see a use, I see benefits to using materials in all of these categories, but I tend to right now find myself in the 3rd category I'm going to share with you all. I have a few resources here, a few homeschool curriculum options that I'm going to just briefly show you. I'm not really going to show you inside or anything, but just kind of give you an example of what I mean in each one of these categories. So first of all, I have found over time, over the last 5 years of homeschooling, that depending on where you are in your own personal walk with the Lord, or where you are, where your children are in their walk, maybe they haven't trusted Christ yet, maybe they have and they're growing, or maybe they're doubting. There are different goals that you have for that homeschool year, or for just your family in general, not even talking about schooling, but even just your family Bible time. There are different goals and different needs, spiritual needs, that your family members will have from time to time. And so having different resources available to meet those needs and address those things is helpful. So I think all of these resources are good and beneficial. It just depends on what your goals are in any particular season of life. So first of all, I find that the first category of biblical worldview material I have found is apologetics. I have found quite a few materials that are written from a strong biblical apologetics view, where the purpose of the resource is to disprove a false assumption, or to support and uphold a true assumption. And oftentimes it's a little bit of both in those materials. And if you are looking for that, for whatever reason, for your own personal growth, or a goal that you have for one of your children, if you are looking for a particular homeschool publisher that is very strong in biblical apologetics, my first recommendation to you would be Master Books. I feel that the tone of many of their books, not just Bible studies and resources, but into their curriculum as well, I feel that the apologetics tone is very strong. And again, it's not to say, that a company that I mentioned in another category isn't strong in apologetics, but that's the first place I would go if I was looking for a biblical apologetics material or resource to use in our homeschool setting. They write at all different age levels. They have an answers series for kids, and they have an answer series for teens, and then I believe they have the various topics covered in the answer series in books for adults as well, although it's not, I don't think it's called Answers for Adults, but it's basically the topics that are covered in that answers series. So that would be the first category of biblical worldview materials. When I hear people saying they're looking for curriculum written from a biblical worldview, that is one of the things that they're looking for. Some sort of apologetic. Certainly has its place and its benefits in different seasons of time. The second the second category of material that I have discovered that homeschoolers are looking for when they are looking for a biblical worldview, they're just looking for straight up Bible teaching. They want to get content in their little kiddos' minds. They want memory verses in there. They want hymns in there. They want Bible stories, the narratives from the Old Testament of Noah and Elijah, and the New Testament narratives of Jesus' life and Paul's missionary journeys. They want content, biblical facts. Some of the companies that come to mind that are very strong in offering that in the homeschool setting are BJU Press, Abeka, and Veritas Press, or Veritas Press, I think is how you pronounce it. But those three companies in particular, and again, it's not to say that other companies aren't strong in this. It's just these are the ones I'm sharing with you that I have found are particularly strong in these particular areas of sharing truth. And I think all of these areas are going to be important over time in the life of our kiddos. But I think that these three companies particularly are very strong at giving historical information and facts and giving the content of Scripture to our kids. I think that the resources that Veritas Press offers with the self-paced Bible is just tremendously produced. It is just so well done. BJU Press similarly has a video course. It's only $49 for a full year of Bible video lessons, and it comes with a student workbook that they could do almost like Sunday school papers is what it reminds me of. And it's a full year of Bible, 180 video lessons of Bible stories, teaching them hymns, teaching them memory words or memory verses. And in addition to that, there's what they call a catechism. I was only familiar with that term meaning something else, but basically that's just a question and answer recitation sort of thing. That's all that means. And I'm sorry, getting a notification there. Sorry about that. So I think those particular companies are very strong in getting content in. And if you follow the classical model of education, you know that many publishers advocate in those early years to just get the information in, and you start to build on relationship and making connections as you go over time. So those companies are a great resource if that's what you mean when you're looking for a curriculum with a biblical worldview, the actual content of Scripture. Now, the third category, or the third kind of little branch that I see kind of coming off of that main tree trunk of biblical worldview, and maybe this is what some of you are meaning when you say that this is what you're looking for in a curriculum. This is where I fall currently, but I have been in the other areas from time to time. But currently, this is where I am, and these are the kinds of things I'm looking for. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Well, I'll go back and do it. Let's just get to this third one. The third thing that I see as a possibility for what you might mean is a curriculum that is written from an understanding of biblical truth that's been personalized by the author, and it's visibly evident in the written work. There's a focus on application and on relationship between the parent and child, or the teacher and child, relationship between the child and the subject matter, and relationship between the child and the Lord. It's really a beautiful thing when you find a curriculum that does that allows your child to have that relationship with you, that conversational, very interactive relationship with the content, the material, the subject matter, whether it's academic like science, language arts, math, or whether it is a more formal study of biblical truth and scripture. It helps the child form a relationship with the material itself because it's written from the perspective of someone who's come to love and know this material and who's come to know and love their Lord. And then, of course, when there's a natural flow, just in subtleties, not even in direct mention of Scripture, but obviously borne out in the writing style and the things that are said, it allows the child to see a vibrant, living relationship with the Lord. It's almost like giving a testimony. Let me give you an example of that. This one here is an example. If that's you, if you're looking for this style of curricula when you say you want a biblical worldview, I highly recommend Snodgrass History. Love it so much. The example I want to give you is of Charlotte. I think it was Charlene. That's who wrote this one. Yeah, Charlene. Well, there was others. Her daughter wrote this with her too, but I don't know who wrote it, but whoever wrote it, let me give you an example. So in each lesson, at the very end, is a scripture verse. But what happens is throughout the actual narrative of the history lesson, they're all written in narrative form, and it's just a story. And all throughout, there'll be little mentions, little subtleties of the Lord allowed such and such to happen, or and by God's grace, such and such came about. There are mentions of the Lord and his hand at work in the story, and then at the end there is a scripture that kind of ties it all together. It's very much like the application at the end of a sermon at church, or at the end of someone's testimony, how they'll share how the Lord laid a certain verse on my heart when this all happened, and it's been very special to me. That's the feel I get reading these lessons. It's very much the personal faith of the author coming through, clearly recognizing God's hand in all of this and bringing that to your child, bringing that to you as you read. This is something that is invaluable to us right now, because one child one of my children has professed Christ, but he's still kind of working through, did I really understand that, Mommy? Did I really know? And so he's kind of struggling with his own little doubts and such. But my other child has not professed Christ. And so right now I'm trying to show them as much of what it means to have a relationship with the Lord, and allow that to just be part of our everyday. That Jesus isn't something that's just for Sundays at church. He's an everyday. And I feel like there are certain courses that we've had over time that really help me do that. This is another one, the Exploring Creation series. Again, I think this is Jeannie Fulbright. Yeah, Jeannie Fulbright. Her faith comes through so strong when she recognizes the Creator's handiwork. You can almost sense her glee and her excitement when she makes a connection between creation and the Creator, and how the Lord has held together all that he's made for us to learn science that was at the very beginning. It's just a really neat, I'm sorry, I'm on the edge of my bed so that you don't see what the mess that's over there. And I just love the style of those particular courses. Those two ones really stand out to me. Again, other publishers are good at doing that too, I'm sure, but these are ones that I would highly recommend to you if this third kind of category or third explanation of what a biblical worldview could mean to you in your search, if that's what you're looking for, I could highly recommend those to you. But there will be times when we need to get the information in, when we need to go back to the basics. Okay, we need to do some of this now. I think there's time for all of these types of materials in our time with our kids, not even so much just in homeschool, but just in our disciple making relationship with them while they're in our home. So a couple others I wanted to show you here. This one I would also put in that third category of that very real kind of relationship storytelling. It's I guess technically a textbook. I don't know. I get so upset when I hear somebody call this a textbook, you guys. This is like a grandma's diary to her grandkids. I just love it. I just can't say enough about it. All the links will be below for the things that I'm showing here, but I love it. And I love this too. I really love this too. This is the story and the way that they start this out. I'm just going to read it to you. I'm just going to read God's Great Story. This is like how it starts. This book will help you learn about something very important. It is called history. History is like a story. You may have heard many stories from many books, but the story of history is the greatest one of all. And that just goes all the way down. It says history. This is what we highlighted. History is the story of what really happened long ago. And we can call it his story. And it just begins laying out God's hand in history from the very beginning and all the way up to World War II, I believe. And then it does do some other chapters about our nation's capital and the landmarks and things like that. So it really does kind of bring your child up to present day, which I love because it starts with like Bible stories like, Adam and Eve and Paul's missionary journeys. And it does go through biblical history, but then it brings you up to current day as well. And it's told very much in that natural style where God is mentioned and his hand is made known, but then, it's not, like necessarily a clear Bible truth. God is omnipotent and he is all powerful, but it might be something like, you could see the Lord withheld this army by, whatever thing. I don't know. I'm just making that up. I don't know that for sure if that's in there, but it's that tone. I just, that's the tone of the content in these kind of courses. Now, I was talking to you about apologetics. Let's go back to apologetics for a second. That's kind of like that's one of the little branches that I think of, but that's not to say that in courses like this is Master Books, their God's Design series. That's not to say that this book doesn't allow you to converse with your child and have that very natural relationship. It's not to say that, it doesn't give facts and good biblical content. It's just, I feel that there are certain companies that have kind of really stood out in my thinking personally for particular content. And I think that Master Books is particularly strong in apologetics. I think what I call the big box companies are particularly strong in biblical content, historical fact, memorization, more didactic style teaching, back and forth teaching, answering. And I think that there are some companies, some publishers that are particularly strong in delivering that conversational, what I call Deuteronomy 6 material. As you rise up, as you walk in the way, let these things just flow back and forth with your children. And so I think, like I said, there's a place and time for all of these materials. I use them all. And I hope that this video is helpful for you. If you are looking for something particular, that this will at least help direct you to a place where you can find something, because I really do think that people are meaning different things when they say they're looking for something with a biblical worldview, and I want to help you find that. So this video just kind of came to mind, and the Lord wouldn't let it leave. I feel more comfortable doing curriculum flip-throughs and reviews and things like that. But this idea wouldn't leave, so perhaps there's one of you out there that needed to hear some of these ideas to help lead you in a direction to find materials that would help you meet the goals that you have, your spiritual goals that you have for your family. All right, I will leave the links below to these publishers' sites, but I'm sure you can find them, but they will be below if you'd like to use them. Some of them will be affiliate links, but it doesn't add anything to your purchase if you use those links. It just is a way that the publishers thank us for help spreading the word, but it doesn't change your cost. And I would use the materials anyway. I don't accept an affiliate for materials that I don't use, so there's that, okay? All right, I'm going to wrap this up, and coming up next, I am going to be doing a Master Books flip through. I'm going to do The Work of Your Hand. It is a very, very neat book that has free printables on the Master Books website, so be sure to tune back for that. I think you could use it for a fun unit study, or maybe even something to keep the little ones busy while this whole stay-at-home thing is going on. But that will be the next video that I put up, Lord willing, within the next few days here. Take care, everyone, and thanks for watching.